What's going on, Bengals fans? Chris Daughtery here with another edition of Bengals Breakdown. And coming up on today's show, we're going to look at a couple of players that were released from their current team today or waived by their current team. They both have to make it through waivers, but if the Bengals want to make a claim on one of those players, they could, or they could wait for them to clear waivers and possibly, bring them in for a meeting and then maybe sign them. So we'll touch on that here at the top half of today's show. And then the second half of today's show, the Bengals actually might have an advantage that you probably didn't even think of over the Buffalo Bills this weekend. So we're going to break both of those topics down here on today's show. But if you have a friend who has no faith in the Cincinnati Bengals to go to Buffalo this weekend and get a dub, I want you to send them this video. Maybe I can convince them that the Bengals actually might have a bit of an advantage in this game this weekend. So help me out. And, even if you don't have a friend that doesn't have any faith in the Bengals, help me out by sharing today's video on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Text it to a friend, whatever. Share today's video. All right, first up, we're going to talk some free agency rumors here. The Tennessee Titans and linebacker Kyzir White have mutually agreed to part ways, making him a free agent. Now, he does have to clear waivers, and then after he does that, he would then end up actually becoming a free agent there. Now, I would assume, if he clears waivers, because this was a mutual, departure from both parties here, that the Titans wouldn't actually try to bring him back to their practice squad there. But look, Kyzir White just really hasn't played that much for the Titans this year. He's only played 32 defensive snaps for them, has only played one game. I think it was the third game of the season that he actually played there. He's been dealing with some hamstring stuff for the majority of the season, but the reports as of right now are that he is back and he is healthy at this point. And by the way, he's also played 12 special team snaps in that one game that he played for the Titans so far this year. So I don't know, could that be a replacement there for, Brian Asamoah? Now, Brian Asamoah, by the way, is on injured reserve at this point for the Bengals here, and they did end up, filling that spot for him. So the Bengals would then have to clear a spot on the 53-man roster if they did want to sign, Kyzir White here. But look, I mean, they could theoretically do it if they wanted to. I don't know. Do you think he's better than a guy like Joe Giles Harris? Does Kyzir White even want to play special teams? These are a lot of different questions that you could ask yourselves, but I do think that, it is an option. He is a veteran player. He had 137 tackles last year for the, Arizona Cardinals. Also had 9 TFLs last year as well. So it's an option out there if the Bengals wanted to go down that route. So I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's video. Play GM for me. Should the Bengals try to sign Kyzir White? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are also waiving cornerback Darius Slay in order to make room. They are now bringing up Asante Samuel Jr. from their practice squad to their active roster. So it's the same thing as White. He would have to clear waivers, but, same thing as well. This is a mutual, departure from both parties here. So I don't think even if he does clear waivers, the Steelers want to end up just bringing him back to their practice squad there. Now, I know the most obvious thing is probably the Eagles go out and end up signing him, but you never know what could happen here. The reports are, Darius Slay is also still interested in continuing to play football here, so he's going to consider signing with some other teams. He's played with some good teams, man. He played in Detroit for 7 seasons. He played with the Eagles for 5 seasons. And then this year, he made his way to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I know it's, an AFC North team that, he was with. Now, is there any bad blood? I don't really know. He's only been there for, half a season now. He only played 498 snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. So, does that hate really run deep with him? I don't necessarily know. Also, by the way, wasn't great for the Steelers either. Gave up 70% completion percentage in his playing time there. 3 touchdowns, didn't have an interception either. So I don't know, man. Is he better than what you currently have right now on your roster? The Bengals obviously brought up and signed, finally, Jalen Davis. He's been playing that nickel spot for the past couple of weeks here. They moved Dax Hill over to that cornerback spot alongside DJ Turner, who, by the way, those guys are playing really well. And Marco Wilson, Cam Taylor-Britt, both of those guys on injured reserve. So do you think he's better than Josh Newton? Do you think he's better than DJ Ivey? I don't really know if that's the case there, but look, if he's another guy that could possibly play some special teams here for the Bengals, that could also be another possibility as well. But two names right now who were released today, both veterans, by the way. That's why we're kind of talking about this here. Darius Slay and Kyzir White, both being released by their respective teams today. All right, we'll continue here with, some more rumors in just a second. But first, want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, that is Omaha Steaks. From holiday hosting to unforgettable gifts, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. You guys, just like myself, can gift some family members and friends USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, and so much more. And right now, during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners here at Bengals Breakdown get an additional $35 off just by using promo code Bengals at checkout. They got a bunch of different types of packages and bundles that you guys can choose from, and you can see right there, it's not just steak. They also have chicken. They have pork chops. They have burgers. They have franks. They've got their very own fries as well. They have some seasonings as well that come with some of these bundles here. So there's a lot of different things that you guys can choose from Omaha Steaks, and like I said, it's super, super high quality meat. I know because I've ordered Omaha Steak myself. By the way, Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. It's a family-owned company with over 100 years of experience and expertise in the meat industry. So save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks, and visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code Bengals at checkout. Now, terms do apply, and you can see that website for extra details. But it's omahasteaks.com. Promo code Bengals to get an additional $35 off. That link, by the way, going to be down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Now, the Bengals are going to Orchard Park this weekend to take on the Buffalo Bills, and it's going to be another cold weather game. I believe it's going to be like 27 degrees at kickoff. And Jay Morrison, beat writer for the Bengals SI, asked, are the Bengals the best cold weather team in the NFL? Well, he did the research to back it up, and it kind of seems like the Bengals might actually be the best cold weather team in the NFL. He did some digging. Like I said, the high in Buffalo this Sunday is expected to be 27 degrees. And by the way, he characterized what is a cold weather game, you might ask. He's going with 30 degrees or lower at kickoff, and he went all the way back to the year 2000. So we have 25 years of data here to work with. Since the year 2000, the most cold weather games per team, the Green Bay Packers lead the way there. It's kind of funny. I feel like the Buffalo Bills are known as, the cold weather team. They're not even inside the top 5 right now, not even inside the top 6, actually. The Bears are number 6, and then the Bills are number 7 with 32 cold weather games since the year 2000. And by the way, the Bengals are 7-4 on the road in these cold weather games since the year 2000. That's 30 degrees or below. By the way, they're also 5-1 in their last road cold weather games. And, one of those 4 losses that the Bengals have, they're 7-4 on the road since the year 2000. One of those 4 losses was in a season finale game against the Jets back in 2009, where they didn't even play any of their starters. And, by the way, that is actually the highest win percentage for cold weather road games in the NFL since the year 2000, with a minimum of 5 games. There was only 2 teams that actually had better win percentages in those games, higher than the Bengals, and I think they only played like 3 apiece cold weather games there. The Bengals, they had played 11 in that time frame there. When you talk about the win percentages here, the Bengals are actually the second highest win percentage since the year 2000 with a minimum of 10 games in those cold weather games. So, look, the Bengals might actually be the best cold weather team in the National Football League. And like I said, when you think about the Buffalo Bills, they always, talk about how they're like the mecca of these cold weather games. That's at least the vibe that I feel like you get there. Now, they're good. They're not, awful by any means in cold weather games. They still have, they're winning about, 2/3 of their cold weather games there. But really, it's just the fact that they get the most snow when they have these types of games. It's like usually like a foot or two of snow when you have these types of games. So Cincinnati Bengals might actually have an edge in these cold weather games against the Buffalo Bills. And we'll talk about one game in particular here in just a second. But I want to hear from you guys down inside the comment section. Who you got in this game this weekend? Type C for the Cincinnati Bengals or type B if you think it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. All right, the last time the Bengals went to Orchard Park was actually back in January of 2023. It was the AFC Divisional Playoff game. And by the way, that was also a snowy game, and the Bengals absolutely dominated that one, winning that one 27-10. Joe Burrow had a pretty good game, went 23 for 26. I say a pretty good game. Almost perfect in that game, had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Joe Mixon ran wild in that game. They controlled the game on the ground. And by the way, the defense was also playing well. Josh Allen threw an interception in that game. And Josh Allen was actually the leading rusher for the Bills in that game. And I think he had 26 yards. Devin Singletary only had 25 yards on the ground. So look, the Bengals pretty much have to win out to put themselves in a position to make the playoffs this season. You also need a little bit of help from both the Ravens and the Steelers kind of, losing a couple games, both to each other, by the way, and to some, I think the Ravens play like the Packers and the Patriots, I believe it was, through the rest of the 5 games this season. So look, while it's a very slim chance right now, if the Bengals win out, they would then have like a 71% chance of making the playoffs, but if they drop one game, it goes right back down to 1%.